Welcome to What If Deku Was Abandoned. Check the author out and like and sub. Yagi, why didn't you object? I thought you didn't like Midoriya. Snipe asked him as he took a sip of his coffee, moving his mask. It is not that I don't like him. He is rash and vulgar with his language along with his awful temper. He is just hard to deal with. Though in some cases he is worse than young Bakugo, but the program is meant to help the ones even I can't reach, so I can't let my personal distaste get in the way of helping people. Plus the program could possibly make him more civilized, Yoshinori said, smiling. Snipe and the rest of the teachers nodded to his response. Also, I can't be a biased teacher, I have to treat my students equally, he said, walking away to Night Eye's agency. Once they all left, Nezu walked to his office through the vents that only he could fit through. He opened his cabinets filled with documents. He took out a sheet of paper from Toga that listed the current location of the league. We were too late. He told himself as he looked at the report from Endeavor that it was empty by the time he got there. The plan was to kidnap Bakugo, but fail because All Might and other pros were there to stop them. If he was kidnapped it would be a PR nightmare, Nezu said, looking through all his possibilities on what to do to protect the students. I need a safe spot for the students just in case of the villains decide to attack the school itself. He says looking for a good plan. Dorms should work for bit so the students can't be abducted on the way here. All of them and the main school should be connected by a bunker deep underground. Though that will take time, even quirks and lots of workers. He says to himself. Alright, the dorms should be made first, then the bunker, so I can properly make sure that everything is safe and done right. Nezu smiled to himself in a hope to prevent any more attacks. Cut to Izuku and Katsuki. Okay. Who is this? Katsuki yelled with a whiteboard up with his classmates' pictures on it. He pointed at a photo. Todoroki. I see hot or half and half. Good, you're learning their names quickly, Katsuki yelled. Hell yeah, I am the best for a reason. Katsuki was teaching him how to be a proper person in the city. Katsuki then heard the largest stomach grumble from Izuku. Oh, you're hungry, I'll make some. The fuck are you doing? He screamed, pulling him away from the window that he was about to jump out of. What? I am going hunting? Izuku said as if that was a normal thing. We live in a city. Why the hell do you need to hunt? Katsuki yelled at him, pissing him off. I don't know, it is like I grew up in the damn woods, you dumbass. He sarcastically yelled back. The two were about to exchange fists till Mitsuki showed up, slamming the door open. Shut the fuck up, two of you. Who the hell? Mitsuki slapped the top of Izuku's head, which somehow hurt him. Quit hit. She slapped him again, making him finally shut up. Why does it hurt so much? He thought, holding the top of his head. Now that you two have calmed down, come and eat, she said, walking out. Why does it hurt? Izuku yelled at Katsuki. I don't know, it just does. They both sat at the table and both dug in with great speed until Izuku started to choke. Ha 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 ha, dumbass. Katsuki laughed at him with a full mouth and started to choke as well. After dinner, the Katsuki and Izuku went to sleep. That is where they ran into some problems. Where the hell does Deku sleep? Katsuki asked, with Izuku just going outside. I will sleep here, he yelled, climbing the tree they had in the backyard. Izuku, get your ass back inside, Mitsuki yelled at him. No, outside is better, he yelled back, getting comfortable on the tree's branches. Fine. You can sleep out here, but here is a blanket if you get cold, Izuku, she said in a soft voice. He took the blanket and wrapped it around himself. This somehow just feels right, he said to himself, falling into a deep slumber. Memories flooded his head as he slept, but he just couldn't understand what they meant to him. One had him breaking out of something thin. Another that did make sense to him was the snakes that took him into his old cave and cared for him, teaching him how to survive. Suddenly the world around him set ablaze with bright red fire that was wild and out of his control. Surrounding him and growing bigger with every breath he took. He looked down to see his blades in his hands turning light red and going back to their normal indigo color. Flames around him grew wild in size, and soon he spotted something beyond the flames. He looked closely beyond the bright red flames to see a small shadow figure with a single black blade in the hands. Soon the black blade he had glowed a very bright red, slashing the fire away from him. More like guiding the wild flames away from him and forming a fierce fire dragon serpent that flew around the small shadow with great elegance. The small figure had great control of the flames that went wild with him. The shadow did one single downward slash with the bright red blade, causing the dragon serpent to strike down as well, destroying everything in its path. Soon it all faded again and the dark void he was floating in became bright as he opened his eyes, seeing sunlight. He put on his glasses and headed inside, thinking about what the hell did he dream about. He looked to his left and saw a photo of a lady with green hair and man with black bushy hair holding a bushy-haired baby. Who is that fat baby and these people? Izuku asked, with Mitsuki answering him. You and those are your parents? No wonder they look familiar. Do you know where they are now? Izuku asked. She gave him a hug. No, I don't, but maybe we will find out one day, she said in a hopeful tone, patting his head. Mitsuki took the frame from the wall and handed to him. They loved you, Izuku. Very much. If they had choice they would here with you. He nodded to her words as he tried to remember them. He sat on the couch continuing to look at the photo in silence, freaking Katsuki out a bit. Suddenly there was a knock on the door and Masaru opened it to reveal the yellow man, but as a twig and a less-looking hobo eraserhead. Hey yellow man, are gonna give me the fight you promise? Izuku yelled at the shriveled-up All Might. Deku, don't be a dumbass, that isn't All Might. That is the teacher assistant Mr. Yagi. Bakugo yelled at him. The hell he is. I know I am right. No. You're wrong, Katsuki shouted back. They both received a smack on the head. Shut the fuck up both you, they are from UA, that means they has something to say, so sit your asses down, Mitsuki yelled at the both of them. Well, you are correct, Mrs. Bakugo. We are here to inform your family that we are building a dorm system into UA, Aizawa said, handing them the forms for Katsuki. This is only for Katsuki and I am pretty sure that you're not only here to hand this over, Masaru said, sliding Aizawa some coffee which he delightfully took. Yes, you are correct, Nezu. The principal of UA has made a new program, Yagi said, cutting into the conversation. What type of program? Mitsuki asked. Villain rehab. Aizawa answered, shocking them. Please understand this is based around Midoriya mainly and a girl called Toga Himiko, Aizawa said, gulping the coffee down. Villain? Deku isn't a villain, Katsuki started to yell, getting smacked again. Quick hitting me, old hag, he shouted at her, getting hit again. Look, we know he isn't a villain, but under the law he is, so we made this program to enroll him into UA so he doesn't go to jail, Yagi said, sliding them the papers. Wait, this means I can beat up all of those extras again. Izuku finally speaking up. Well, you will also attend normal class to learn how to read or do math, Aizawa says. The fuck is a math? Exactly my point. If you do this you will be able to fight to all your heart's content, Aizawa says, knowing that he won't refuse the offer to fight. Where do we sign? I know Izuku just came back into our lives, but I would rather him be in the best school than jail. Oh yeah, take Katsuki too, he needs more friends, she said, leaning in a bit. He won't admit it, but he is kind of a loner. The fuck did you call him? He got smacked again. We won't take Katsuki right now because the school is still on break till the dorms are built, but once they are built Izuku will be the first one to live there, then the normal students, Aizawa said, getting the signed papers. Izuku stared at the Yagi with great intent. He took in a deep breath, with his nostrils release his previous breath. Katsuki looked at him, knowing what he was about to do. Izuku got up quickly to lunge at Yagi, only for Bakugo to drag him up the stairs. Katsuki, what the fuck are you doing? Mitsuki yelled at him. We need talk real quick about something important, he yelled as Izuku lashing out to get out of his grip. Katsuki slams the door to his room. Shut the fuck do you think you are doing? He yelled at him. I was going prove that the yellow shrimp was the yellow guy. No, that is Mr. Yagi, like hell he is All Might, Katsuki yelled at him. I know I am right, he has the same battle spirit. Izuku yells back. Deku, don't pick a fight with a guy, looks like he will die from a paper cut, Katsuki said, face palming. Cut to a couple weeks later. Class 1A crowded around their teacher Eraserhead. "Yeah, we all got permission for living on campus." Hagakure cheered while Uraka sighed. "It took a lot of convincing for my parents because they trust you.a. but didn't like their little girl in a dorm house with boys," Uraka said, a little bummed but happy. "My parents were fine with it as long I didn't get too hurt," Jiro stated, playing with her jacks. "Mine were fine too, but we're also concerned about the boy thing," Yoa Momo said, sitting at her desk. "Okay, all of you are back from camp and have grown stronger from it. Which is great news, but not enough," Aizawa said, going up to his podium. "Though you all will be training for super moves because Nezu decide for all of you to participate for the Provisional Hero Licenses exam. That is why the 21 of you will be training your asses off." He finished with Mina raising her hand. "There are only 19 of us?" Mina said, raising her hand awkwardly at her teacher's mistake. Katsuki remembered the program that Mr. Aizawa mentioned that would be about Deku and Vampire Bitch. "Oh shit," he thought. Aizawa took in a large amount of air, then took a long sigh. Then facepalm. "Why did it have to be my class? It could have been Vlad's class," he muttered. "Please welcome your 2 newest members of Class 1A." The giant door gets kicked open to reveal bushy-haired kid with a smiling mask on while wearing a brand new pair of red shoes. His uniform was black compared to their gray uniforms, his button-up with unbuttoned showing his chiseled abs. Not like the girls were complaining from the eye candy they had. A messy bun blondie came in with a female version of Midoriya black uniform. "Whoa hottie. Hey honey, if you want a strong man," Minato began to say, only for Midoriya slamming his fist into his face. "Shut it, small fry. Sup you bunch of extras," Midoriya said, moving his mask to the slide, showing them his toothy smile. "Thank you for shutting the grape up." Toga cheered, putting her fist into the air. "Please introduce yourself already," Aizawa said, annoyed by their actions. Midoriya went back to the front of the class with Toga. "Hi, I am Toga Himiko. I am your new classmate. My quirk is transform. One thing I love is Izuku's blood," she said with a blush on her face. "Nice introduction, minion. I am Izuku Midoriya, Lord of the Forest. You're at my mercy now. That rat prey said that you all will soon be strong like me. Let's see what you damn extras can do. Show me what I bet my kingdom on," Izuku yelled, challenging the class, riling them up again. Aizawa was wondering what would happen to him if he retired early. "This can't be happening," Ida yelled out. "No." Kaminari and Minato cried, knowing Midoriya will pick on them the most. "Oh no, this is so terrible. The guy that is teaching me is going to be in my class." Jiro sarcastically, being actually happy that he would still teach her. "There is no need for sarcasm, Jirokero," Sue said with a stoic face. "I am starting to think that we should have left him in the forest," Todoroki said, annoyed about the noise. "Shut the fuck up, icy hot." Bakugo growled at him. "At least he can put up a challenge, unlike you who still uses half your power." Todoroki looked at him pissed, but kept his mouth shut. "Hey, at least Midoriya can live a proper life instead being in the woods," Uraka said, trying to be positive. "He will also be living with you guys in the same dorm. Trust me, it is as bad as it sounds." Aizawa speaking up, making their morale go even lower. "Word of advice, just don't piss him off." Those were his final words before going to sleep. At that moment Momo and Ochako cried a bit, knowing that their parents were right about the boys were the ones they needed to keep an eye on. Kirishima and Denki started looking if UA's benefits provided insurance. Shoto began to rethink his whole time at UA, from the tests to the villain attacks. He has got nothing but trouble, and adding a deranged, unstable kid to the roster of problems. He truly believed what he said next, "We are so dead." He just stated to no one in particular. They all calmed down and were led to the dorm rooms to see the dorm's living room utterly destroyed. "How hell did he get the couch on the ceiling?" Denki yelled, pointing at ceiling. "The coffee table is in the fridge," Ida yelled, opening the fridge. "Why is the TV in the oven?" Momo yelled, opening it. "Oh my god, why are all the knives in the walls?" Jiro yelled, struggling to pull one out. "Midoriya, Why did you shove a TV in the oven? Ida yelled at him. It burned me, so I test my strength against the fire demon box. Duh, he yelled back. Toga, why did you throw the knives at the wall? Momo yelled at her. What? I was bored and Izuku already broke the TV. What else was I supposed to do? She asked, genuinely confused. The two were then wrapped in cloths by a very angry Aizawa. Both of you. We are going to have a talk with Nezu? A red-eyed Aizawa yelled at them. Once they were gone, the students were left very confused on what to do. Well, might as well start cleaning this place up a bit, Mina said, taking out the coffee table from the fridge. Yeah, guys, this place ain't that bad, Ochako said, trying to be positive. She made herself weightless and had Sato catch the couch once she unstuck it from the ceiling. After cleaning the mess, soon they all started to get to their rooms and filling them with their stuff. It got pretty messy because of Mineta going through the girls' things, mixing their things up. By the end of it they were all tired and the day had been a long day for them all. I wonder what would have happened if Midoriya was here? Mina said, sitting on the couch starting a conversation with her classmates. He would have probably destroyed everything, Toru said, biting her toast that had jam on it. Please don't remind me about him, Momo said tiredly. Why does Nezu even want the villain and him here anyways? Mineta yelled out from the cage that Momo put him in after he tried to steal her bra. He is very strong, and along with Toga, who is our age and is very skilled as well. He took all of us on blind and without his quirk, Ida said, complimenting them. It just sucks that their personalities are just awful. Like Bakugo's, Shoto said, eating his ice cream. Fuck you, icy hot. Izuku walked in with Toga. Both receive cold glares from some of their classmates. What are you idiots staring at? He scoffed at them. We are looking at you, asshole. What kind of moron sticks a couch on the ceiling? Sato yelled at him. I do. Midoriya, you need serious help. Okay, you two break it up, no more fighting, let's just chill and have some dinner. Karosu said, dragging Izuku to the kitchen and giving him a plate of pasta with chicken on the side. Eat. No more fighting, Su said sternly, making Izuku sit at the table so he could eat. The rest of them looked at her, shocked that she was able to make him do something. Su, how did you do that? Momo asked, wanting to know the answer. Well, I did what I do with my siblings when they throw a tantrum or are angry. Stern voice and make you have food so they calm down, eating something healthy. Karosu said, handing Toga her dish, and she sat down too, eating. Better than my idea of knocking him out with a dart gun, Momo said, taking out the gun from her bag. That could work too if he gets too crazy, Ida said, then stopped to see Izuku stealing his chicken. Izuku quickly shoves the chicken into his mouth, chewing it quickly and swallowing it. What are you looking at, Four Eyes? Izuku asked, ignoring what he just did. You know what, Midoriya, you can have the chicken, I will just get some more. Midoriya, I will not get mad for your wild actions, Ida said, trying to stay calm. Ha 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 ha, shrimp. Izuku called him, making Ida snap, and tackled Izuku to the ground. Izuku and him started to wrestle on the ground. Should we stop them? Jiro asked Mina, who was recording. Not yet, let go at it for a bit longer. Momo aimed the dart gun at Izuku and Ida. Wait, ya Momo, don't. Not yet, Hagakure said, getting a bucket of water and dumping it on them as they continued. Now this fight just got steamy. Mina squealed with a nosebleed. Momo just deadpanned at their behavior and shot them both in the arms. Ida became woozy, but Izuku was fine and still moving. Huju, Momo just shot 4 more darts into him, making him collapse. She reloaded and shot him 2 more times just in case he is acting. Well, since Momo was a buzzkill from my entertainment, let's check out our rooms, Mina shouted as they rushed up the stairs. Soon they were all wrapped up in Mina's game of seeing who has the best room. Soon they got to the final 2 rooms, which belonged to Toga and Midoriya. Toga's room was pretty basic. It had a desk in the corner with a lamp. She had a dresser holding up a mini fridge. Toga opened it to show her favorite drink. This is filled with Izuku's sweet blood, so I don't go full maniac again, she said with a cheerful voice. Well, there is 1 room left and it belongs to Midoriya. Momo said, placing her hand on the doorknob slowly. Then she heard a large bang, freaking her out, making her jump. She looked around to see that Sero dropped his frying pan. "Sero, why do you have a frying pan?" she yelled, looking them all, seeing that they all had some sort of protection except Bakugo, Jiro and Sue. "Why do you all have pots and pans?" Momo yelled at them. "He could have a tiger in there," Mineta yelled, "or it has a dead animal. A dead body. Rattlesnake. Any wild animal. Guys, I am out of threats that could hurt us," Kirishima said awkwardly. She took a deep breath and opened the door to see a perfectly normal room just like Toga's. Instead of a dresser, he had a wardrobe that was opened. "For a lunatic wild boy from the forest, he has a pretty clean room." Garosu said, looking at a box on his desk. To ease her curiosity, she opened it to see a notebook that was blank. She picked it up and under it had photos from his younger years. "Oh my god, he is as cute as a button," Toru squealed, looking at the photos. Mina picked up a photo that had his parents on it. "He looks a lot like his dad, just green instead of black," Momo said, looking at the family photo. "He looks so calm and normal, it makes me wonder what happened in that forest," Kirishima said, looking at the photos. Sero opened the wardrobe to see Izuku's blades, bear hide pants and sandals. The rest was normal clothing. "Wow, his mom has a hot bod. I am so going use this for tonight," Mineta yelled. He was about to place the photo in his pocket till an arm grabbed his arm tightly and lifted him into the air. "Bakugo, the hell are you doing? The fuck did you say we're going to use that photo for?" he said in a calm yet threatening voice. "I was going use it for my pleasure. That is my auntie and Deku's mom. Like hell I will let you use it for your disgusting acts," Bakugo yelled, chucking him into the hallway, breaking it, also knocking him out. "Everyone out before I wake up Deku," he yelled, grabbing the photos and placing them back where they go. They all soon left and went to sleep, forgetting about the dart-filled Midoriya in the living room. Izuku awoke with the darts in him still, so he ripped them out and decided he would get revenge. He sneakily made his way to Mumu's room. Couple hours later. "Guys, where is Momo? She promised to help me with my homework," Mina said, sitting down on the couch. "I haven't seen her either," Jiro said as she opened the fridge for a snack to eat, deciding she would get a sandwich. "Me neither. I went to her room to see if she has the notes from yesterday from Mike's class because I fell asleep during class," Uraka said, joining in the conversation. "Well, I thought she was with Mr. Izawa because she is the class president after all," Hagakure said, laying on the couch. Suddenly they saw Midoriya coming out of the hallway with giant bag on his back. "Hey round face. Where's the trash?" he yelled at Uraka, who jumped up a bit. "It is outside on the side of the dorms. Midoriya, have you ate because you weren't here for breakfast?" Uraka asked him, with Izuku shaking his head very fast in a nodding motion. "Okay, have good time with whatever you are doing with the bag that is leaking red juice." Her voice died out at the part. The girls looked at with shock from the sudden leakage. Izuku looked at the spot and then took off running towards the door. "The hell just happened?" Mina asked, confused. "You don't think that Izuku got revenge for what Momo did to him yesterday, right?" Jiro asked, but got no response. They looked at her, then they took off after Midoriya. Mina began to slide across the ground, pulling a weightless Uraka and Hagakure behind her. Jiro used her non-perfect breathing technique to speed up after Midoriya. Suddenly Izuku dove into the tree line surrounding the dorms. Uraka turns off her quirk and starts running normally with Hagakure. Mina stops using her acid to skate and enters the forest as well, following Izuku. Jiro runs past them, speeding up as she used her breathing technique. Suddenly they saw Midoriya speed up, leaving them all in the dust. "Shit," Mina yelled as she stopped running after being outran. "Why did he speed up all of a sudden?" Uraka said, confused from his sudden speed up. "We were chasing him because of Momo, right?" Hagakure asked, because she took off running because they started chasing him. "No. Momo is gone and Izuku just so happens to be carrying a bag that was leaking a red liquid that could be blood. Also for the fact Momo knocked him out yesterday with a dart gun when him and Ida were wrestling, Jiro stated as she kicked a tree leaving a foot imprint. That wasn't blood. Blood is more beautiful and thicker the way I like it. They turned to see Toga hanging upside down by her legs on a branch. Why are you here? Uraraka asked, confused why she was with them. Well, I saw you guys book it out of the dorms, so I followed you here. Also used it to practice my stealth and breathing technique. She replied, landing onto the ground crouching down. Breathing technique? Wait, he is teaching you too? Jiro asked her with nodding her head. Yep. Izuku has been training me when we moved into the dorms a week ago because he said I was his ally. He also asked the crazy pink mechanic to forge me this. She says, taking out a knife from her skirt. She removed the scabbard from it to reveal pink bending blade. It is super bending and sharp. It is collapsible, so it is actually a long sword. She squealed, showing them by cutting a branch cleanly. Well Toga, if it wasn't blood then what was it? Mina asked her. I don't know, all I know it wasn't blood, she said, putting the blade away. They head back to the dorms to see Izuku eating heated soba with a knocked-out Todoroki near him that had foam coming out of his mouth. They all noticed that Izuku was covered in dirt as he ate. Midoriya, where is Momo? Jiro said, walking to him. He looked up and said, I don't know. He really doesn't know because I didn't hear a lie. Now I am confused. She thought as Izuku swallowed the heated soba. How does icy hot eat this crap? It tastes like hot mush, Izuku yelled, chucking into the kitchen, somehow making it into the trash. Suddenly Momo appears, but everyone stops to look at her because she looked different. Does anyone mind telling me why I woke up under my bed with a blanket? She said with a smile that did not look genuine. Oh, I know, Izuku yelled, hopping up and down. Okay, Midoriya. Why did I wake up under my bed? She asked him. I put you there after I turned you into a red shrimp, he yelled with Momo looking shocked. Red shrimp? She asked him with Izuku giving her maniacal smile. She instantly made a mirror to look at herself and saw what Izuku did to her. She gasped at what he did. Her hair was turned all red with some black spots where he messed up. Midoriya, do you know what you did? She asked him. Yes, I got my revenge for you shooting me with that weird-shaped block. Whoa. Momo, we match now, Kirishima yelled out as he smiled with shark-toothy smile. Ha 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 ha, she looks like a chicken, Bakugo laughed as he pointed at her. Suddenly Izuku was wrapped up in cloth. Midoriya, Hound Dog dug up a bag full of red hair dye. You mind explaining? Aizawa said with Izuku snarling like an animal in the cloth. Yaozu, why is your hair red? He asked her with her looking at Midoriya. Okay, well, I got my evidence and proof. Midoriya, you have detention with Nezu, he said, tightening the cloth. You can't prove that I did it, he shouted at Aizawa. Midoriya, we have camera footage of you burying the bag and dyeing Yaozu's hair as she slept. Plus we have your confession from a few minutes ago. He replied by pulling up the live footage of him confessing. That ain't me. What do you mean that ain't you? Aizawa asked him. I am saying that isn't me, so you have no proof that I did. I am innocent, he yelled back, sitting up. Midoriya, the evidence has your fingerprints, we have footage of you doing it, and to top it off we have a confession from you. How the hell is it not you? He asked Midoriya. Fake news. How does that stuff have my fingerprints if I have them on my hand? Also, like I said, that ain't me, it is all blurry so you can't tell, Izuku yelled at him. Midoriya, remove your mask because we are UA, we have the clearest cameras so it is like catching you in real life, it's 4K, Aizawa said, raising his voice. Still ain't me, you got no proof. Izuku. Midoriya was later convicted of pranking his dorm mate. For his crimes he shall doing time in detention with Nezu teaching him math like addition and subtraction for 5 hours. The end. Did you like that story? Nezu asked Izuku as he was at a desk struggling with 1 plus 1 because he kept getting potatoes somehow. I will take that as a yes. Now that Shota is done watching us, let's go get some ice cream, Nezu said, hopping of his chair with Izuku chucking his paper away. They both run so they don't have to stay in detention. They ran into Bakugo along the way, who held a sign saying, "Free my man Izuku, he did nothing wrong." They all got ice cream together, till Izuku caught them and sent back with Bakugo. They were in the detention hall for 10 minutes until they left again. Because no likes detention, not even the teachers. That is one truth of the world, unless your teacher just hates you and likes being a dick to you or your class. Why do I have to learn this? Izuku asked Izuku, who was teaching him how. Right. So you can learn a bigger vocabulary. I already have that, like I learned cunt yesterday, Izuku yelled out. Izuku sighed and let Izuku go early because he learned to write his name and count to 13. He rushed down the hall, maneuvering past people, sliding or hopping over them. With great grace he slid under 4 people in a row. He then latched himself to the wall, jumping towards an open window and diving out of it. "Whoa," he yelled as he fell towards the ground. He placed his hand on the outside walls of UA, using it slow down his descent while also transforming into his Lamia form. He moves his snake tail to form a spring-like form that cushion his fall. He went back to his normal form, making dash towards the forest. Must he always be over the top? He could have just taken the stairs instead of hopping out a 4th story of a building, Izuku said as Nezu handed him a coffee. It adds to his character, like how Hado asks too many questions, Nezu said, sipping his tea. They both looked at the cameras as he disappeared into the forest that surrounded UA. "Is there a way for us to keep an eye on him while he is in there?" Izuku asked, with Nezu nodding. "Yes, I have installed cameras everywhere in that forest in case of villains trying to infiltrate through there. Though now we can use them to spy on UA's favorite little troublemaker," he responded, pressing a button showing where Midoriya was. "They have infrared, but they don't really work him on the count. The snake part of him makes it hard for them to see him," Nezu says, pressing a button switching the setting to infrared, and like that Izuku disappeared from view. "Well, that's new, but not surprised," Izuku said, climbing into his sleeping bag as Nezu turned the screen off and went back to work. "Okay, time for Midoriya-sama to train like no tomorrow," he yelled, punching a log with his fist, leaving an indent in the bark. He picks up his blades that he left there the previous day. "First fang, pierce," he yelled, stabbing a tree with his blades. Izuku then twists the blade. "Third fang, devour," he shouted, slicing the tree upwards, making 2 massive gashes in the tree trunk. "Fourth fang, slice and dice." Suddenly he sliced the tree thoroughly, making it the rough shape of a cube. He picks up a block of it and tosses it into the air. As it fell, he readied his blade's 5th fang, crazy cutting. He then cut the block up into bits of wood the size of marbles. "Needs to be smaller. I, the great Midoriya-sama, must show that I am the best like always," he yelled, tossing another into the air, doing the same like he did the last one and getting the same results. So he kept trying until his 20-seconded time, finally getting better results of the size of the wood, being almost like sawdust. He hears a twig snap and he twisted his body in the direction. "Sudden throwing strike," he yelled, throwing his blades at the location where the noise came from. "Midoriya," he heard as he walked to the location to see Tsuyu with a bag of food pinned to a tree. "Bray? Why are you here?" he asked as Sue looked at him annoyed. "Well, I was going to bring you some food for lunch because Mr. Izuku said that you need to be healthy. Karo, now if you don't mind, unstick me from this tree," she yelled, making flinch back. "Alright, I will," he yelled, unsticking her from the said tree. Her uniform had 2 holes in it now. They walked to the opening that Izuku made by cutting down the trees in the area, making a lot of wood logs that he stacked up. "Midoriya, here is your food." "It is katsudon from Lunch Rush," Sue said, taking a seat on a tree trunk with her food. Izuku opened his bag to see a bowl of a katsudon that he fell in love with the moment he smelt it at the camp. He dug in, eating it very quickly. "Midoriya, slow down, you are going to choke," Sue warned him as he took that as a challenge and ate faster, finishing the bowl in record time. "Ha, I win. I didn't choke like you said." "Well, did you enjoy your food or did not even taste it because you were eating so fast?" she asked him. He thought about it for a bit, then it hit him he didn't enjoy his godly food. "Here, have some of mine, it's the same, Karo," she said, giving a piece that he gladly ate. "Thanks, Prey. Now to return to my training," he yelled, picking up multiple logs and holding them on his back. Sue watched him as he held this massive logs on his back. He felt the weight grow as the time passed from his body getting tired. Suddenly Tsuyu's watch went off, notifying her it was time for class. "Midoriya, time for class. Let's go," she said, with him letting the logs roll off his back, making a thud sound as they hit the ground. He put on his black coat of the uniform. They both walked back to school grounds. Sue asked him a question: "Why haven't you been training Bakugo, Toga and Jiro?" He looked at her, though she could only see the expressionless smiling mask. "They have the basics, but they need stronger bodies. They need a structure to follow because they can't be learning the breathing technique without a set of moves to do. I use beast breathing because it focuses on my senses," he stated in a smart tone that shocked Tsuyu. "They can't do the same because they lack my senses. So I am creating new styles for them to follow. For Jiro, I am creating the breath of sound. She would certainly get stronger from using it," he stated, bringing out a notebook from nowhere. "Where did you get that, Karo?" she asked, with Izuku ignoring her question. Then she noticed that it was the same one from his room when they check it out. She peered over to see that it was blank, but Izuku was running his hand over the pages. "Oh, only he can tell what is on the notebook, that is why it is completely blank," she thought, as for a small moment she saw the writing, but chalked it up to her imagination. "It is incomplete for now, but when they are able to handle, they all will certainly show their true strength. But they will never be as great as I," he yelled, going back to his normal self. They made it back to class with Izuku boasting how great and smart he was to Tsuyu, who decided to listen to all of it, which only fed his ego. "He certainly does change on a whim," Nezu said to himself as he watched Izuku continue to brag down the hall. Cut to the end of the day at the dorms. "Guys," Kaminari yelled, catching everyone's attention, "I found a secret passageway. It leads to under the dorms." Bakugo and Midoriya stopped doing a chili off to yell, "Prove it together." "Fine. Just follow me," he said, leading them down the hall to a dead end. He pushed against it and it opened like a spinning door. "Alright, let's go in," Kaminari yelled as they entered. It was a lit room that had a large elevator that went underground. They all entered and Momo pressed the down button. Izuku was started to jump up and down till Bakugo and Ida stopped him. They heard a ding and the doors opened to reveal a white hallway that led into a much larger room that looked like a bunker of sorts. Though Momo noticed it was unfinished because the roof or ceiling of the room wasn't as fortified compared to a normal bunker. "Oh, looks like Class 1A trash found this place as well." They didn't need to turn to know who said that. "Oh. Your whiny yellow boy," Izuku blurted out while laughing at his shocked face. "My name is Nato Manama," he yelled at Izuku. "Noto Manpako. Nato Manama. Mako Man Konshaku. Nato Manama. No Pomowana. Nato Manama. Toshinori Yagi. Who the fuck is that? You are not even trying to get my fucking name right?" Manama yelled. The others laughed at their interaction with the other Class 1B students, laughing at the scene as well. "Why doesn't Midoriya have a shirt on, and why does he have his swords?" Kendo asked, with Mina answering, "He is just like that, you will get used to it." Tokage floated her head to Midoriya. "Hey there, hot stuff, can you transform into your small form? It's the best," she said, going around his head floating with her. "Sure thing, lizard," Izuku said, shrinking into his small Lamia form. Tokage then picked him up with her floating hands and placed him on her head, flying him around as he held on. "Now this is a ride for a king," he squeaked as they looked at the air show. Izuku then smelt something that he loved that only came during the cold times. "Mushroom girl," he yelled, with Setsuna flying her head to Kinoko. Izuku hopped off and landed on top her head. "The one I promised to protect," he yelled, landing on her shoulder. "Oh, Midoriya, good to see you." "Shroom," she said excitedly, making his favorite mushroom. I looked it up which one you liked and I was able to find the name that matches the smell and conditions you said. She told him, holding him on her palm. The mushroom fully formed on her other hand that he quickly started to munch it down when it got close. Inoki is the name, she informed as he ate. Kendo, how did your class find this place? Momo asked the other class rep as she wanted as much information as possible. Well, to be honest, it was an accident because Manama was trying to play a prank on your class. So instead of knocking him out like usual, I threw him down the hall which led to up finding a false wall that was like a spinning door, she said with a smile. Well, for us, Kaminari said that he found something and we just followed him down here. That is the gist of what happened to us, Momo said, looking over to see Izuku carrying Kanoko like a princess as the other guys chased him. Fuck off. This is my mushroom maker, he yelled, running off with her while her face was red and flushed. She felt up Izuku's muscles that made her feel like a kid in a toy store. You can have the grapefruit, he yelled, throwing Mineta at them. With them chasing him, soon it became a game of cat and mouse. Both classes were chasing Izuku to see who would be able to catch him, with Kanoko being the prize. Midoriya, put me down. Shroom, she yelled as he held her close. Ida sped to him, so he jumped over Ida with a mighty hop. Pretty soon some students left the area because they couldn't catch Midoriya. Midoriya, can you please let my classmate down? Reiko asked nicely to him. Izuku thought about it for a bit. No. Thank you. What, no? What do you mean no? She asked, confused. She is my classmate now. What's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. He responded as if what he said was not wrong. Can you please let me down, Shroom, Kanoko said with Izuku nodding. He gently placed her down. Thanks, it was fun being carried by you, Shroom. Hey Cabbage Patch, when I get more training? Jiro asked with Toga next to her. When I get finished with my notebook, he said, looking up instantly, knowing something felt wrong when he felt a tiny rumble. Run. Run? What do you mean? Mineta asked. I mean run, you dumbasses, he yelled, chucking Mineta towards the hallway that led to the elevator. Soon the ceiling began to crack and fall apart, falling towards the students. They began to run towards the exit with the rumble falling in front of them. Fourth Fang, slice and dice, he yelled, slicing the rumble in front of them, making a pathway to the exit. Kaminari got hit in the head, knocking him to the ground. Izuku picks him up and yells sudden throwing strike, chucking him to the exit with his body rolling towards it. He grabs Momo and does the same for Kendo. Your asses better pay me back for this shit, he yells, chucking Shiozaki and Duraka over as he was pelted with rocks. They soon made it to the hallway safely. Help me please. Don't leave me behind, Sue yelled as more rocks fell around her. She covered her head with her arms as rocks fell on her. Izuku looked into her teary eyes, and something deep in him didn't like that. He didn't think his body just moved on its own, rushing towards Tsuyu. He jumped over a boulder that landed in front of him. He sped up, running to her, shoving a boulder to the side with ease. Midoriya, help me please, she cried as her leg was pinned under the rocks. He dislocated his entire arm. Ninth Fang, extending bendy slash, he yelled, slicing the rocks that were covering her. A pair of floating hands picked her into the air along with ear jacks that helped lift her into the air. Come on Sue, let's get the hell out here, Jiro yelled with Toga carrying Sue on her back. Let's go, we don't want to be pancakes, Tokage yelled with Kanoko nodding with her. Suddenly the area shook violently, knocking them to the ground. Another quake happened and the rest of the roof caved in all at once, blocking the exit. Are we gonna die? Sue asked as she saw the boulders coming towards them, accepting that she was going to die. Izuku looked at them all as the world around him slowed. He saw the boulders coming down to kill them all. He looked at them and saw they were afraid of dying. Is this the end of me, them? No. This is a fucking not. This is challenge for me to overcome. Izuku yelled at himself in his head. No. That was all he said to them as he readied himself. He turned into his Lamia form and wrapped them all in his tail under him like an upside-down spring. His muscles expanded to the max he could output. Izuku took a deep breath. With all of his might he began to slice. Fifth Fang, crazy cutting, he yelled, cutting the boulders coming at him with great tenacity. The boulders became rocks, then pebbles. With each slice he did, he got faster and he wouldn't slow down. With every slice he felt the weight of the boulders pressing down on him. Every passing second the weight of the boulders got worse. It felt like a bat was hitting his forearms every time. Soon it became too much for even him to cut, from the fatigue to the amount that was falling to him. He ignored the pain and kept going till his arms became numb from the weight and shock back of cutting pure stone. Soon his hands could not clench his blades, so Izuku improvised his plan. He clenched his jaw as he dropped his blades and put his arms up as the rocks around him fell, covering them. This promptly buried them under the rumble weight. Up above minutes before. "Well, All Might, looks like you didn't plan on me showing me up here, ha ha ha." All for One laughed as All Might landed in front of UA, dodging a pressurized blast of air that struck the ground, shaking it. "Shut up, you damn monster." All Might yelled as he charged All for One, landing a shot causing another shockwave, breaking all the windows of UA High. "Let's spice up our reunion a bit, what do you say?" "Oh wait, I don't care for your opinion," All for One says as a massive black and purple portal opened at the gate of UA. Out came dozens of green Numu. "These are from the warehouse that you raided, but since you were at that camp you came too late. They all got to be finished," he said with a smug tone. "I won't fall to your petty tricks." All Might yelled as a new helicopter flew around, capturing the scene. "Now the real fight can begin. The end of the symbol of peace will happen tonight," All for One yelled. All Might leaped at him, with All for One shooting him back down, causing the ground to cave in more. "Now all you will listen to my demands," All for One said, with his tone becoming dark. "Behind you is UA, the best school in the country. Now what do you think will happen to the staff and students if we went all out, including the city behind me and its citizens?" he said as he floated to the air. "As of right now they are all my hostages. I am All for One, and if you want to know my quirk, I can take and give quirks. I am the leader of the League of Villains and my protege is Tomura Shigaraki," he yelled, with the news helicopter capturing the entire scene along with his speech. "Now All Might, you are the symbol of peace. Can you protect all the citizens near us? I wonder how many I can kill with my Numas, or how many quirks can I steal while I hold them all hostage?" All for One said, clapping his hands. "Here are my demands, All Might, and to anyone listening to my message to the world," All for One said, with All Might readying himself to attack again. "If you move a single millimeter, All Might, I will use same thing that killed your master, but it will kill the students you promised to protect," All for One threatened, making him stand down. "If any heroes show up or if my quirks turn off, I will massacre and mount the heads of each student on a stick for the world to see." "Nezu, I would have thought that you would had a better plan," All for One said with an angry tone, shooting a pressurized shot at Nezu's office, destroying a part of UA. All for One scanned the area where he shot with his infrared quirk to see multiple heat signatures. "Oh, you survived? Oh well, let me list my final demand. If any heroes show up or try to attack, I will destroy the city along with UA. My Numas won't attack unless I say, but All Might, let me see how strong your resolve is?" All for One asked, expanding his arm, blasting All Might as he just stood there tanking the blast. "I barely felt that," All Might taunted him, pissing off All for One. "You still smile when I have all the chips on the table. I will make sure that your death will be painful because I can still feel what you did to my face," he responded, blasting All Might again. "Shit. That one hurt. It's a good thing I have my full time. Come Nezu, you have to get a plan in order to protect the students and citizens," All Might thought as he withstood another blast, with All for One laughing. "Sir, are you okay?" Midnight yelled, picking up Nezu. "I am fine for now. I am glad I took the precaution to fortify the school to the max I could," he said, with Aizawa getting up from the blast. "Get all the students to a safe spot. UA could always be rebuilt," Nezu ordered, with Midnight and Aizawa nodding. Aizawa's phone then rang. He picked up and his eyes widened when he heard Ida's voice. He took off running down the hall to the dorms. Midnight followed with Nezu in her arms. Izuku hangs up the phone. The students found the incomplete bunkers when he started attacking. It caved in from the blast he shot at the ground. "This whole thing is just bad timing," he yelled as they sprinted down the hall. "Is there any of that are stuck?" Midnight asked with him nodding. Tokage, Jiro, Asui, Kinoko, Toga and Midoriya are trapped inside. In total 6 students are trapped, though we don't know if they are alive due to the weight of the rumble. Though knowing Midoriya, he is just too stubborn to die from that, Izuku said as they busted the back entrance of UA and headed towards the dorms. "I will hold this forever," Izuku yelled, holding the rumble up with his bare hands. The rest of girls were under his snake tail, protected from some rocks still falling as the ground constantly shook. "Hey Midoriya, are you good up there?" Jiro asked him as they bandaged Su's broken leg with a ripped sweater. It was hard to do due to the fact there was no light except for Izuku's scales that provided a little light. "How long do you think we are going to be here?" Tokage asked, with the rest of the girls looking down. I don't know, it could be hours," Jiro responded, laying back on Izuku's tail. "The real question is how long can we last," Toga said, laying back. "What do you mean?" Karosu asked Toga, who covered her face with her arms. "Do you see any plants here or airways? If we don't get rescued soon we are going to suffocate from lack of air," she said as it dawned on them that there was a good chance for them dying. "Since there are 6 of us we might not even last 30 minutes, even less than that." "Shroom," Kinoko realized, starting to panic. "Calm down, it will get worse if we panic," Tokage said, trying to get a hold of the situation. "So we are going to die," Jiro said as the ground shook harder and the roof Izuku was holding up went lower. Soon they heard Izuku grunting out sentence 7, form, spatial awareness. He grunted out as he felt through the earth to see what hell is happening up above. "The yellow man is fighting up there," he grunted put as the ceiling went lower, causing him more strain holding it up. "Yellow man? Shit. All Might is fighting out there, that means the League is attacking again," Jiro yelled, realizing why the quakes were happening at a constant rate. "That means he is fighting a new Mu like in the USJ Ribbit," Su said, touching her face, remembering how Shigaraki dusted her face. If it weren't for Recovery Girl she would had a scarred face for the rest of her life. "Seems less likely that we will be saved then," Toga said as the roof got lower again. "Man, here I thought that becoming hero would be great," Tokage said sadly with her eyes tearing up. "I never got a boyfriend or gotten confessed to. I didn't even call my parents this morning because I woke up late," she yelled as she cried. "I haven't talked to mine since I was in middle school. I became a villain, killed a guy, met Izuku, and got a second chance at life because of him. I don't want to die. I haven't done enough. I got another chance, now it's wasted," Toga cried as she laid on the ground crying into her sleeve. "Neither do I. I never had friends until UA. I am too shy to confess to my crush, and I can't even list the things I have done in my life. That is how little I have done," Kinoko yelled, stomping her foot, sobbing all over. "I wanted to save people and make them smile. My parents wanted me to be a musician. I should have listened. All they wanted was for me to be safe," Jiro yelled, crying into Izuku's tail. "I am going to miss my siblings. I promise to come over this weekend," Su said as tears came out of her frowning face. "I made friends, I had a good time, and I got meet people I thought I never could, but I still want to do more." "Shut up. I am going to save you. All," Izuku yelled out to them with his hands bleeding profusely from the jagged rocks. They sat in silence as they slowly accepted that they won't make it. Izuku's body was constantly rupturing from the strain, but he kept healing as the roof kept going down no matter how much he struggled. It felt like swimming up a waterfall with the water slowly crushing him no matter how strong he was. "Me? No Izuku, you can do this, right?" Jiro sadly asked him. He shifted his head to her and spoke up. "I can hold T.S for another 100 years. He boasted. She knew that he lied to her, letting her know that he is trying to comfort her. She nodded and got up. "Izuku, let me help," she said, with Izuku obliging because he could no longer hold the form. He slowly turned back into his human form as ceiling kept going lower and lower. They all got up to hold it up except Sue on the count of her broken leg. "Keep your promise, Izuku," Toga yelled, swiping some blood from his bloody arm and drank it. She transforms into Izuku and uses the breathing technique to hold up proof. Soon they all are holding the ceiling that is slowly coming down on them. They were all tired as it became clear that they won't be able to stop the roof from coming on top them, crushing them to death. Death became apparent because of what Sue said next. "It getting hard to breathe, Karo," she said softly as she closed her eyes. "Pray? Well, All Might, you have lasted longer than I thought." All Might. All For One said as All Might inside a massive crater with UA behind him still revelatory. "Fine. I can go all day," All Might said, still standing all bloodied up from the consistent blows being shot him. "Oh, what is this? I spy 5 heat signatures underground. Looks like they are students trapped under there. It would be a shame if an earthquake squashed what little room that they have," All For One said, smiling evilly behind his mask. "Don't you dare, All For One, this is between me and you," All Might yelled, with All For One not caring. "I am just getting rid of some bugs that are not worth my time," he said, air shooting the ground, making another crater. He looked as each of the 5 heat signatures went out one by one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The red dots that he saw faded, indicating their fates to him. "That is 5 students dead from your lack of action, All Might." "Ha ha 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 ha." All For One laughed. All Might stood there looking down in shame with a tear going down his cheek. "My time is almost up," he thought as he looked up to see All For One point blank blasting him in the chest. After the dust cleared, the world saw the villain All For One holding the shriveled up #1 hero by the neck. "I will give you a proper death that you deserve. Though you have been a pain in my ass since you became her protege, but looks like her bloodline will be tainted as well," he said, dropping him to the ground to his knees. All For One floated to the sky, making his hand glow, aiming at All Might. "If you don't know what I am talking about, Tomura Shigaraki, his real name is Tenko Shimura," All For One yelled while All Might looked up with a face full of despair. "That was the look I wanted from you since the beginning," All For One yelled as he powered up to kill All Might. The ground below him began to crack underneath him and out erupted a massive green serpent covered in blood heading straight for All For One. Aizawa and Midnight made it to the dorms to see both classes all dirtied, covered in dirt. "Yayorozu, explain the situation," Aizawa stated as they looked up at them. "We have been trying to mine our way to Midoriya and the rest using arcworks," she explained, with the ground shaking very badly, knocking them all to the ground. "Fug," Bakugo yelled, blasting the spinning door away, revealing him, Manama and Kabura. "That last quake caved in the rest of the tunnel down there," he yelled, destroying the couch. Mineta turned on the TV to see the news so they get some information on All Might's condition. The cameramen and women were silent as they filmed the villain named All For One. They listened to his words and he mentioned the heat signatures. "That fucker better not," Bakugo yelled as he stared at the screen, with All For One blasting the ground, confirming their deaths. Something deep inside him snapped because he lost his best friend again. "I'm going send him to hell," he roared, rushing towards the door. "Bakugo, you leave, you're expelled," Aizawa yelled with his eyes leaking tears. "Like I give a shit. I am going to kill him, that is a promise. He can take my shitty quirk because that won't stop me from killing him," he screamed, letting off a flashbang with his palms, blinding them for a bit. He blasted the doorway off and took a deep breath, expanding his muscles. He let out a powerful blast, locking himself towards the fight. The rest of the class ran after him, feeling the same amount of rage that he felt. Midnight let Nezu down and grabbed Aizawa's hand as they ran after the kid. Back to the fight. From under All For One, the ground cracked open with a massive green blood-covered serpent erupting out like a volcano. It headed straight for villain with its mouth wide open. The hell is All For One began to say as the massive serpent bit down onto him, piercing him with its razor-sharp fangs, making dozens of holes into All For One. It shook its head like a wolf tearing a piece of meat to bit. The massive serpent then chucked the body into UA, with his body crashing through multiple classrooms. The serpent hissed as it began to shrink to human size. "Oi! Yellow man, I beat him," Izuku yelled with his blade in his hands, lifting his mask, wiping some water from his eyes. "Young Midoriya, get out of here," Yagi yelled at him, with the spot in UA where All For One was thrown into exploded with large amount of force, causing a shock wave. "Numas, RIP the kid apart," All For One shouted, with the Numas rushing him. "Low-level trash," Izuku yelled, turning them all into stone while slicing them to bits. "Oh, a brat that thinks he can take me on," All For One bellowed, appearing in front Izuku. "Now you will bow or I will kill you," he ordered Izuku, reaching his arm out toward his mask. "You have it all wrong on who is bowing, peasant. I am the Lord, no I mean God of the forest, Izuku Midoriya," he yelled, lifting his swords into the air. "Third Fang, devour," he screamed, slicing All For One's arm off and kicking him away, turning into his Lamia form, wrapping him up. Izuku began to constrict him. "I will kill you, you damn demon," Izuku screamed, aiming to cut his head off. "Impudent brat. You thought those poorly made blades can kill me? Allow me to show you true power," All For One bellowed, exploding Izuku's tail off of him. "Poorly made? These blades are great," he thought as he flew back. Izuku got sent flying away while turning back to his human form. "You are too slow," All For One said behind, grabbing him by the head. "This is true power," he yelled, dragging Izuku through the ground, then chucking him into the forest, breaking through many trees along the way before coming to a stop. "Is that all you got?" Izuku said, getting up, pushing himself up with his broken body. "No, I have much more, you pitiful child," All For One said, punching his gut, sending him crashing back to the entrance of UA, bloodied up and broken. He began to get up again as All For One smashed his foot onto Izuku's head, pressing him down into the ground. "You are getting on my nerves, kid, after all that you still are trying to get up," All For One said, feeling his other foot getting smashed by fist. "My mom's smacks hurt more than those tiny bug bites," Izuku yelled, tail whipping All For One's mask, breaking a piece off. All For One stumbled back, with Izuku lifting his mask and latching onto All For One. He raised his hands into the air, interlocking his fingers, then smashing them downwards, breaking rest of All For One's mask. He peered into All For One's face to realize that he didn't have eyes. "So the petrifying ability of yours needs eye-to-eye contact. This will be the only time I will be grateful for All Might for obliterating them," he stated, tearing Izuku off of him, holding him by the neck, making it hard for him breath. "You also wear a mask, allow me to return the favor from what you did to mine," he yelled, ripping it off, revealing Izuku's face. All For One dropped it to the ground and smashed it with his foot. That in itself pissed off Izuku from breaking his most prized possession. "Your eyes will do wonders for me when I get mine back," All For One said, smiling a wicked grin. He placed his hand over Izuku's eye and shoved it to it, ripping the eyeball out. "Ah!" Izuku screamed in pain, holding the empty eye socket with his hands. The eye in All For One's hand began to turn to dust as Izuku smiled. "Gotcha, bitch," Izuku yelled, shoving both his hands into All For One's face where his eyes used to be at very deeply, making All For One drop him to the ground. "First Fang, pierce," he yelled, grabbing his blades and shoving them into his neck. "Keep talking, you damn potato," Izuku yelled as felt something pierce his chest. He looked down to see both of these blades inside him. All For One then effortlessly shoved his fist into his chest from the front. All For One then upped the damage by lighting his hand fire, cauterizing the wound. "I am done playing with you, child," All For One yelled, tearing out his fist from his chest as Izuku fell to his knees. He then tore the blades out from Izuku's chest. Izuku's eyes lost their light as All For One stood over him. All for One let him fall forward to the ground, then slammed the blades into Izuku's back, pinning the body to the ground, then broke the handles. All Might, your student can really take a beating. All for One says, walking towards Yagi, who is staring at him in his skinny form with rage. Not like he can hear my praise. WHO said, you can turn your back on me, King, Izuku yelled as steam began to rise from the hole in his chest and left eye as they both rapidly healed. Once both of his wounds healed, his eyes began to glow. Why won't you stay down? All for One yelled, frustrated at Izuku's persistence on living no matter what he did to him. You broke my blades. A friend made them for me. You will pay for that, Izuku yelled angrily as scales began to spread across his arms, reaching his hands, forming sharp claws. From his back out erupted wings. I will send you to hell, you damn demon, Izuku yelled, with All for One looking at him with great malice. I will mount your head on a stick. All for One threatened, with Izuku rushing him. No more going easy. You think a new transformation will fix the power difference, you animal. All for One striking him with lightning from the sky. Izuku's body was smoking from the burns he had received. Izuku's eyes shined brightly as he glared at All for One. Steam began to be released again, with his rage overflowing him. He began to rapidly regenerate his burnt body as he flew towards All for One. I will take your fucking head, he yelled with his claws out. Second fang, rip and tear, Izuku yelled, cutting up All for One's body with deep wounds. All for One grabbed his arm and torn it off, with Izuku kicking his face. Red and black spikes piercing Izuku, so Izuku bit them off with his enlarged fangs. All for One ripped his right wing off with his right arm, while Izuku scratching downwards at his face, leaving claw marks. They went at each other like animals clawing at each other, with the occasional quirk ripping Izuku apart, but just as fast the injury came, it regenerated just as fast. Suddenly a massive blast hit All for One, sending him flying back. I will fuck you up and send you right to hell. Spiky. You're here? Izuku yelled, surprised. Thank God you are okay, Deku, he yelled, noticing his new appearance. Let's beat his ass. I will squash the maggot, Izuku yelled, with his wings disappearing, turning to dust. Aw shit, I barely got those. Oh, it would seem your transformation has a time limit. No matter, I will still kill all of you here. All for One said, floating into the sky. All Might. Get back and save your time, we will make an opening, Katsuki yelled, blasting into the air, engaging All for One. Hey, don't try to one-up me, Izuku yelled, growing in size back to his massive size. Why must you children constantly throw away your lives? All for One yelled, stopping the jaws of the serpent from chomping down on him. For such a pointless cause. All for One shouted, getting exploded back to the ground, releasing the serpent's jaw. Just shut the fuck up. You attacked us and we are just fighting back, you damn villain, Katsuki yelled, landing on the serpent's head. You want All Might, then you will have to get through us, Katsuki yelled, with All for One gritting his teeth. Oh really now? Through the two of you? Two hot-blooded teens that have anger issues. All for One shouted, with Izuku engaging him. He dived towards him, with All for One evading the jaws, with the tail smacking him to the ground. Katsuki released a massive explosion while All for One was on the ground, burying him deeper. Take that, you potato motherfucker, Katsuki yelled, releasing another blast, draining his arms. Izuku smashed his face into the hole where the All for One was repeatedly. Deku, is fucker dead yet? Katsuki yelled, with Izuku's serpent form shaking his head. No, thought so, a person like this won't go down from this. The ground began to shift, with massive earth hands forming, locking Izuku in place. Such a vile beast of a child. I will have to out you down. All for One said, coming out the hole. Says the one getting pushed back by pro heroes in training, Katsuki shouted, blasting an earth hand, destroying it. Such a loudmouth. I wonder how your parents are if you're like this. All for One questioned. They are the nicest parents I could ever ask for, Katsuki yelled as Izuku broke free, roaring at All for One. Well, if you can't understand Deku, he says he will kill you. Katsuki translated, flipping him off with a crazy smile. Izuku lunged at All for One with Katsuki shooting explosion at All for One. Looks like you don't want your quirks, brats. All for One yelled, getting pelted with explosions. He lunged towards Bakugo aiming for his head, but getting blocked by Izuku's tail piercing it. Izuku's tail instantly heals, locking his arm him. So Izuku smashed his tail into the ground repeatedly. Suddenly his tail began to turn to dust and was falling apart. Good thing I copied that one. All for One said, with Izuku ripping the part of his tail with that part turning to dust. Looks like you are battle smart. All for One praised, with Izuku giving him a death glare regenerating the tail. Izuku reverted back to his human form with steam coming off of him. His eyes had dark bags on them comparable to Eraserheads. I will put you down, you demon. Izuku tiredly yelled at him. Deku. Stay fucking awake, Katsuki yelled at him as he kicked away by Izuku, making him dodge All for One's hand. Both of you brats think that you can beat a villain stronger than All Might alone? All for One yelled, with the two said standing up to him. We will be stronger than All Might. That includes you, Katsuki yelled with his palms glowing white. Plus they aren't alone, you prick. Suddenly 5 cannonballs hit All for One in the back. A trail of ice freezes his legs in place, restraining his movements. Ida. Grab Midoriya and Bakugo, get them out of there. Momo ordered as Ida followed her directions. He sped past All for One, picking them up and getting them away. Anybody with range, light the fucker up, Momo yelled, with Pony, Ashido, Aoyama, Rin, Nanama and Kaminari firing their quirks at All for One. Ida got both Midoriya and Bakugo to safety as he put them down. Geez Midoriya, you are burning up, he says as they both get up to fight again. Stay down. The both of you are hurt and need rest, he yelled. Are them? Shut up, Four Eyes, Izuku yelled as the scales in his arms receded. Izuku collapsed only after taking a couple feet forward. How my body won't listen to me? That is new, he said with his body releasing more steam. Katsuki went to grab his arm and started to pick him up. Enough. All for One yelled, exploding the ice off of him and shrugging off the quirks attacking him. You will die tonight like the ones I killed underground. All for One yelled, releasing. Stay fucking awake, Katsuki yelled at him as he kicked away by Izuku, making him dodge All for One's hand. Both of you brats think that you can beat a villain stronger than All Might alone? All for One yelled, with the two said standing up to him. We will be stronger than All Might. That includes you, Katsuki yelled with his palms glowing white. Plus they aren't alone, you prick. Suddenly 5 cannonballs hit All for One in the back. A trail of ice freezes his legs in place, restraining his movements. Ida. Grab Midoriya and Bakugo, get them out of there. Momo ordered as Ida followed her directions. He sped past All for One, picking them up and getting them away. Anybody with range, light the fucker up, Momo yelled with Pony, Ashido, Aoyama, Rin, Nanama and Kaminari firing their quirks at All for One. Ida got both Midoriya and Bakugo to safety as he put them down. Geez Midoriya, you are burning up, he says as they both get up to fight again. Stay down. The both of you are hurt and need rest, he yelled. Are them? Shut up, Four Eyes, Izuku yelled as the scales in his arms receded. Izuku collapsed only after taking a couple feet forward. How my body won't listen to me? That is new, he said with his body releasing more steam. Katsuki went to grab his arm and started to pick him up. Enough. All for One yelled, exploding the ice off of him and shrugging off the quirks attacking him. You will die tonight like the ones I killed underground. All for One yelled, releasing. His dark aura making it hard to move a single inch and breathe. Shut up. They all looked to see where the voice came from, to see Midoriya being helped up by Bakugo. We ain't dying to a thief. This is my new kingdom. So I will lead my followers to your doom, he yelled, taking a step forward, releasing his aura that countered All for One's, giving them all hope. He walked up Momo and she made him 2 new blades that came out jagged the way he liked it. He took them as his body expanded once more. Momo noticed a mark forming on his chest that looked like flames covering where his heart is. The hell is that? Doesn't matter as long it helps us win. She thought as she fired her cannons again. My body feels like it's on fire and it feels great, it feels like I can fight for 1,000,000 years. Izuku thought with his mark on his chest expanding. Beast breathing, no, that doesn't feel right, Izuku said to himself as his memories flashed before his eyes, remembering his father's beautiful fire. Set your heart ablaze, he yelled with his blades turning a reddish-orange with flames spewing out from his mouth. Uncle Hisashi's quirk. Bakugo thought as Shiozaki bandaged his arms. Oh, fire now? Like that will do anything to me. All for One stated with Izuku appearing in front of him. First form, unknowing fire, Izuku yelled, slicing upwards, cutting off All for One's arm, burning him. Second form, rising scorching sun, Izuku shouted, slashing at All for One multiple times. You are just full of surprises. All for One yelled, shooting him back. Everyone support Midoriya. Give this bastard hell, Momo yelled as they all rushed All for One. Insolent brats. All for One said, trying to activate his quirks. You're not killing any more of my students, Aizawa yelled with his eyes glowing bright red as the rest of the staff showed up. Third form, blazing universe, Izuku yelled, slicing his blades downwards, literally disarming All for One. All for One kicks away Izuku as he get bombarded with bullets, sound waves and all the other ranged with quirks of the students and teachers. He starts regenerates as he received a massive fist to the face along with a bunch of boulders falling on top of him due to the teamwork of Kodai and Uraka. Suddenly two things pierced his stomach, began to rotate at very fast speeds. This is for Class 1B, you fucker. Minama and Kabura yelled, ripping his guts apart with drills that Momo made them. All for One made a dust cloud as he aimed to kill Minama. Minama flinched back as he turned to steal, with All for One hitting him with a point-blank air blast. Fourth form, blooming flame undulation. Izuku screamed, getting in front of Minama and pulling out Kabura while shifting the blast into the sky. Don't forget about me, you piece of shit, Katsuki yelled, sliding to All of One and sending an explosion straight to his chest. Icy hot. Do it now, Katsuki yelled, with Shoto finally using his fire, sending a torrent of very hot flames directly at All for One, charring him. Izuku joined in, spewing fire from his mouth at All for One. Fire, Momo yelled as the rest of the students fired their ranged attacks at All for One all at once. Just die already, Katsuki yelled, shooting another explosion. Like I said before, it looks like you don't want your quirk. All for One said, appearing in front of him, placing his hand on his head. Katsuki yelled in pain as he felt a part of himself was being ripped out. He fell to the ground holding his head in pain. Well, time to die. All for One yelled, shooting an explosion at Bakugo point blank. The dust cleared, showing Izuku covering Katsuki with his body along with his entire back being burned. Kachan? He said softly, laying one of his blades in his hands. You will feel the fires of hell tonight, Izuku said with killer's intent as Kirishima took him away. Such a great quirk for me. All for One said, shooting sparks from his hands. Izuku took a stance, gripping his sword with both hands, looking intently at All for One. Fifth form, Flame Tiger, he yelled, charging at All for One at blinding speeds with his fire, forming a tiger as he struck All for One with multiple slashes that burnt his body. Suddenly something wrapped around his stomach, pulling him back. Sero had pulled him back. Midoriya, you can kill me later, but get patched up, he yelled at him. All for One began to buff up with multiple strength enhancers. He shrugged off the blow from their quirks. Guys, I think he just got serious, Kaminari yelled as Toru wrapped Midoriya in bandages. Come on. Come on. Midoriya, one, get out there, kick ass like you always do. She praised, trying to feed his ego so he could fight at full strength. Yeah, I will, he yelled, getting up with his blade in his hand. His mark grew larger as he chanted in his head, set your heart ablaze. Over and over. All for One slapped Tetsu away, breaking his steel skin on impact. Momo got worried as all of their attacks weren't doing anything. Izuku landed in front of her with his bandaged body, spiky ball and chain. That was all he said as she listened to his order. He took a stance. The area around him began to burn as his chest glowed orange with fire. His blade turned a light red as the fire around him grew in size and out of his control. Ninth form, Rengoku, he yelled, dashing towards All For One with his fire enveloping him, forming a dragon. As he got closer, the bandages burned off, adding fuel to the flames, burning brighter as if it was daylight. He collided with All For One, making massive dust cloud along with a fire tornado. Ha 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 ha. All For One laughed as the dust settled with a very burnt and cut up All For One with his fist inside Izuku's chest. I thought you almost killed me, but looks like that little power-up of yours ran out at the last second, he yelled with no steam rising from Izuku anymore. That quirk of yours will do great for me, he said, reaching for Izuku's head that slightly shifted to the side. Like hell you're taking his, Katsuki yelled with tears, releasing a massive wind torrent slicing All For One's arm off. He threw a bottle that Momo gave him at All For One, lighting him on fire. He grabbed Izuku, chucking him at the rest of the students, then slammed the blade into All For One's foot as Sero pulled him out. Isn't healing, Toru yelled as blood continued to leak out of Izuku. Momo thought about what to do. She checked his pulse that somehow was still there, then got an idea. Midoriya, if this fucks you up I will pay you back, she yelled, stabbing him with adrenaline that she made. His eyes shot open as steam rose from the wound, healing rapidly. Chain, he yelled as Momo nodded happily that he didn't die. A chain appeared from her stomach. He grabbed it and pulled out a long chain with a spiked ball. He ran towards All For One that doused the flames on him. This is the opening, Izuku yelled, wrapping All For One in the chain with the spiked ball, locking him in. Izuku held the chain tightly no matter how much All For One struggled to get out. Katsuki, Sato, Shoji and Shishida also latched onto the chain, holding their ground as All For One tried to escape. It is quite sad that the younger generation is showing me up, but thank you for it. You all have gone plus ultra. Now let me let out my final blow too, as the to being #1 hero. All Might yelled in his one-armed buffed form. United States small ass, he yelled out as Izuku transformed into his giant snake form to protect the rest of the students and staff. With a large amount of wind pressure hit them. The dust settled and All For One laid still on the ground, finally down after all they did. All Might raised his fist into the air as the news crew captured the entire fight cheered along with everyone watching. They cheered as Powerloader and Hatsune using powerful anti-quirk restraints along with Aizawa, who had his quirk active on him just in case. Midoriya, you can transform back now, Momo said as she looked at his giant snake head. He breathing heavily as he looked at them. He opened his mouth and spat out a tooth. What do we do with this? She asked as he just shut his eyes. She began to freak out, thinking the worst. Guys. Midoriya isn't moving, Momo yelled as they rushed over with Hatsune climbing onto his body. She checks his vitals with her tablet after connecting some probes onto his head. He is fine. He's just tired, she yelled out as they sighed in relief. She hopped off, grabbing the tooth he spat out. It's slimy, she said as she wiped the saliva off. Why did he spit out a tooth? Kaminari asked as he helped patch up Bakugo. Nezu walked up as he analyzed the situation. Suddenly Izuku began to move, shocking them all as they moved out his way. He went into the hole that he came out of, though it semi-collapsed during the battle. He dove in as they all waited for him to resurface. After a couple minutes he resurfaced and collapsed in front of them. They stared as he opened his mouth and 5 statues placed down gently covered in his saliva. Izuku then shut his eyes and began to snore somehow, even if he was a massive serpent. It's Sue and the rest, Uraka yelled, running over with the rest. The statues were damaged with some of their limbs broken off. We can fix them before we turn them back, right? Hagakure asked as they did their best to figure out whose arm or leg belonged to who. Leave this to me, my quirk and tools can definitely fix them up, Mei yelled as she quickly got to work putting them back together. Soon the police came with massive trucks filled with people heavily armed and took All For One, locking him up in more anti-quirk restraints. So they began to do the same thing to Izuku's massive serpent form. "Hey, the fuck do you think you're doing?" Katsuki yelled, trying summon sparks from his palms only for nothing to happen. "We are locking up the monster, it is freak and we have to put it down." The officer yelled at Katsuki, "Like hell you are," he screamed, grabbing the jagged knicker and blade Izuku gave him. "Bakugo, please calm down, I will deal with it," Nezu said with a fake cheery voice that hiding his true intentions. "This my student and you will not lock him up," Nezu said as officer looked at him pissed. "It is a monster," he started till Nezu cut him off. "He has a name and he doesn't like being called a monster. He is a human like you, just because he is in quirk form that doesn't make him less," Nezu says as the officer looked like he was grasping at straws. "I have used the quirk illegally," he yelled out. "UA is a private property that he fought on and this counts as self-defense, so do you have another reason in trying to lock up my student?" Nezu asked, with the police officer finally backing down. They removed the restraints as they glared at Nezu while he glared back, freaking them out. "All might, are you done?" Nezu asked the skelly man as he nodded. "One for all, and its embers were all used in the final attack, so I am officially no longer All Might," Toshinori said with a smile as he patched up. The staff looked at the destroyed UA man. "It is hard to see the school we have been to and work in destroyed." Present Mike said, kicking a rock. "UA can always be rebuilt and it is a good thing that we have insurance," Aizawa said, looking over at his students as they helped May with fixing the statues of his and Vlad's students. "So how long is Midoriya going to be in that form?" Midnight asked as they looked at the massive sleeping serpent. "Well, at the camp he slept for 3 days from overuse of his regeneration. Taking to account today and the damage he took and the amount of times he transformed, I can say longer than 2 months, Powerloader said as he looked at the massive serpent. "So we will have a massive snake in the entrance of the school for more than 2 months? Midnight yelled out, surprised at the number. "Done with the first one. I don't know who she is, so you guys have to tell me," May said, handing them a needle. "I extracted the venom, so just inject her and she will be back to flesh," May said, starting on the others. "So looks like Jiro is first," Hagakure said as Momo injected her with the venom. They all watched as the stone broke away. She took a deep breath. "Midoriya, don't you fucking dare!" She stopped herself and looked around, noticing that she was above ground. They all tackled her into a hug that freaked her out a bit. "Can someone explain what the hell is happening?" she yelled out. "You were stone and after the fight we turned you back," Momo summarized. "Can you tell us why you were turned into stone?" Nezu asked her as she nodded. Sue had stopped breathing and Midoriya began to freak out, so he turned her to stone as a massive quake tried to flatten us. So he turned us all to stone, saying that he was sorry for being too weak to help, Jiro said as she looked at the beaten-up serpent. "What happened while I was out that put Izuku out commission like this?" she yelled, running towards him. They filled her in on what happened while she petrified. "Damn Izuku, you really put in some work," Jiro yelled, petting the giant snake on its side. Pretty soon they get the rest of the girls back to normal, with them freaking out at first due to the sudden change in environment for them. "Damn Greenie, you really went all out tonight," Tokage said, watching the video that news shot on HeroTube. She floated to the top of Izuku's head, petting it. Soon large amounts of reporters showed up, rushing through the broken gate. "Can any of you give an interview?" multiple of them asked, shoving microphones into their faces. "You are trespassing on private property," Aizawa yelled, with them ignoring his yells. "Don't worry, Hobo-sensei," May yelled, running past him. "I got this. It just so happens that we got one last line of defense," she yelled, climbing up Izuku, reaching the spot where his ear was. "Scare them away, Great Lord of the Forest," May whispered into his ear as Izuku's eyes opened, revealing pure white eyes. She latched on so she wouldn't fall off his head. The serpent lifted his head, looking at them with large amounts of anger. "Hey! Control your pet!" one of them yelled as the students and staff pretended not to able to hear them. "You might wanna leave, he is pretty territorial," Nezu said, looking at Izuku as he circled them. He roared at them, covering them in saliva. "He hasn't eaten in a while, you might wanna leave, he is very hungry," May said from on top of Izuku's head, scaring them more. They all booked it out as Izuku roared again. You can sleep now, sorry for waking you, Mei whispered as Izuku wrapped up into a coil, falling back to sleep. She hopped off after petting him one more time. It took a bit, but soon Yue was able to open up again. With a few minor changes, there was no such thing as Class A or B, just single class. Bakugo laid in his bed looking at his hands. Can I be a hero without a quirk? He asked himself as he tried to summon a spark with nothing happening again. THX for watching. Skshnpai out.